Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Fran. In this channel, I share knowledge and practical techniques on trauma healing and mental health conditions like eating disorder, bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety. So let's talk about perfectionism in this video. So perfectionists are often prone to feel depressed or anxious because they have those incredibly unrealistic and high standards both to themselves and to people around them, causing them to never feel good enough. In this video, I wanted to discuss in depth about the roots of perfectionism and two things you need to understand in order to beat perfectionism. Perfectionism is driven by shame. Underneath this immense internal motivation to strive, we have this core belief that we're not good enough. It's as if there's something wrong with us and there's something seriously flawed within us, and we will expose all that if we don't strive. Being average means being inferior than others. So we need to constantly chase for something. We need to constantly change who we are in the current moment in order to be seen as perfect, as good enough. Because any mistakes or flaws would directly prove the core belief that we're not good enough. When we were children, chasing for excellency probably did bring us some benefits. Probably it saves us from being criticized by parents, from being cold-shouldered by them, because it would make our parents proud and they may give us compliments or recognition which satisfy our core need at that time, is to be accepted and to be loved and to be proud of. But in the long run, we all see how detrimental it could be, because perfectionism often comes with this deprecating self-judgments, which further lowers our self-esteem. What we need to understand is that nobody's able to do anything 100% all the time. It's simply unrealistic. So whenever we make this tiny little bit mistake, when we have this tiny little bit flaw, we feel like the acceptance that we got from our parents fleet away, it's just gone, and leaving this defected and broken inner child feeling worthless, unwanted, and unlovable. But as a child, it's such a horrifying thing to experience the feeling of helplessness, powerless, sadness, and loneliness. Out of desperation, out of self-protection, we transform this energy into anger, into hostility. And more often than not, we would turn this hostility against ourselves. When we suppress it, it could lead to depression. That's why a lot of psychologists would equalize perfectionism with hostility, because it has energy, it doesn't know where to go. So there are two ways it's going to come out. One way is that we are going to internalize it, we're going to self-attack, we're going to turn this hostility against ourselves. Another way is that we attack outside, we attack people around us, blaming them for not being perfect, for not meeting our high standards, and that's how we turn this hostility outwards. The first thing we need to do to beat perfectionism is to accept our limitations as an ordinary person, yet we're good enough already. Psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott once brought out a concept of a good enough mother, which stands in contrast with the perfect, idealized mother. Quoting from him directly, the good enough mother is the one who makes active adaptations to the infant's needs, an active adaptation that gradually lessens according to the infant's growing ability to account for failure of adaptation and to tolerate the results of frustration. But it does not say that for an infant to grow up healthily, a mother needs to be 100% of the time emotionally available, responsive, attentive, or empathetic. This good enough mother concept stands in direct contrast with the perfect mother, which is simply unrealistic. The point I'm trying to make here is that we need to accept our limitations as human beings. We all are not built perfectly. We all have our emotions, we have our desires, we see things through mental filters all the time, and we could not be at our ideal state all the time as we wish, right? Requiring ourselves to be perfect or expecting people around us to be perfect is like personal attack. It's like setting us up for failure. Just try to picture the scenario in your head. One day, maybe your partner comes home after a hard day of work and he just lies there. He took off his shoes and he threw it somewhere and then just not do anything, not say anything, not really caring about where you are, what you are doing. So a lot of us would feel like, well, you gave the best version of yourself to work, but you come home with this poker face and with this exhausted body. And what are you doing? Like, you're not being a very good husband or boyfriend. But try to switch seats. If that person's you, after a long day of work, after like resolving all the conflicts and pushing all the projects and working your ass off for one day, and you come home, what do you want to do? Do you still hold this unrealistic standard for yourself? To be a better wife, to be a better mom, to be a better student of life. Just try to study and try to strive still and try to be attentive and caring and remain chill without throwing temper tantrum. Is it possible for you though? But for perfectionists, this kind of expectation is not on you at all. Instead, we either go on a full-blown self-attack spiral or we attack our partners. Another quote I really love is from the famous Japanese philanthropist and entrepreneur Kazuo Inamori. Those amazing achievements, in fact, are almost always a result of a very ordinary person who is conscientious and continues to accumulate step by step. The biggest takeaway is that we can all admit that we have limitations. We're only ordinary people. Yet, we can still have big dreams. We can still make an impact. With 70% of our effort, it's consistency and determination that make the biggest difference. Due to perfectionism, people would procrastinate to an incredible level, and they would some of them actually even just give up like completely because they're so scared to see the reality. They're so scared to face the consequence of not finishing things on a perfect level. So we really need to train ourselves to do things not perfectly, to start actually badly and then gradually evolve and improve. We should set this bar low enough for us to get started and kept going. That's actually how I started my YouTube channel. If you actually look back to my older YouTube videos, you will find that it's awkward as hell. Everything is wrong. I feel like my face, my facial expressions, my voice and my posture and just the lighting and the background, everything. And I really didn't like it, but I really didn't care because I already gave up this standard for myself to be perfect. Deep down, I know that the cost of not starting is way worse than starting badly. Because I know that if I don't start, I would avoid doing the things I actually care and love about. So I gave myself this permission to start really, really bad in the beginning and then become moderately bad, slightly better, and even better and good. The second thing we need to understand is that health should always remain a top priority. An ancient Chinese saying goes like this: so long as green hills remain, there will never be a shortage of firewood. You can understand it as where there's life, there's hope. The reason I'm bringing this point forward is that for people with depression and anxiety, we often have a hard time finding self-compassion. We're already drained from depression and anxiety. We have probably lost the hope and willingness to love and take care of ourselves already. On top of that, we still hold this unrealistic, like sky-high expectation for ourselves. We beat ourselves up when we couldn't meet the standards. We keep replying those self-deprecating judgments like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you pull yourself together? Why can't you perform like anybody else around you? We often fail to realize that it's incredibly exhausting to go through depression and anxiety. We spend major energy on fighting those thoughts, on fighting this negativity. And our brain chemistry would shift, our body would function differently. So it's just not fair to expect us to perform at this ideal and perfect level. I cannot stress enough of our mental and health well-being. They should always remain a top priority. In fact, it's not selfish at all. It does not only serve us, it serves people around us as well. When we're at our best state, the things we create will carry this vitality. because it's from the authentic and direct expression of who we are and what we stand for. However, when we self-sacrifice for productivity, when we chase for perfection, it actually will show this resistance without us knowing, but it will show this resistance from both a body and mind level. Not only quality will be compromised, but also our efficiency. As a bipolar, I have learned the hard way. When I have my hypomaniac phase, I have my creative juices flowing, I get crazily effective and creative. So I would skip meals, I would skip sleep. I could work for hours without taking a break. And I could get up in the middle of the night, like 2 to 3 a.m. to just get my ideas out because I don't want to miss them. And for the longest time, I did a very stupid thing. I actually refused to take medications for bipolar because I thought it would kill my creativity. Because the thing with treating bipolar is that doctors don't want you to get too high, too excited all the time. They would rather you stay at this low and relatively stable state. So the medication's common side effects are like just putting you to sleep, making you sleepy, and just calm you down. So I was very naive. I was like, well, if I go to sleep in the middle of the night, I could lose all the creativity I could have. So I felt like I don't want to miss it. And as a result of it, I suffer from complete burnout. I started to lose like tons of hair because I don't get enough nutrients, and I started to have random body pain and just made my life miserable, and I started to really be worried and be concerned about my health. But surprisingly, when I actually started to take care of myself, when I started to really follow the doctor's instruction to sleep well, eat well, I feel like my best state actually comes back. I feel more grounded when I take care of myself, when I stop forcing myself to create this perfect piece of art, to create this perfect script. And my mind actually becomes sharper and clearer for creation. Alright my friends, those are the things I wanted to talk about today. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you wanted to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.